I think they did that perfectly. Give them a round of applause. Bill Graham, who is the voice you just heard, was born Wolfgang Grijonga in Berlin in 1931 to Russian Jewish immigrant parents. His dad died in an accident just 2 days after he was born, and his mom had to place him and his sisters in an orphanage. Then in 1939, right before World War II broke out, he and his sister got sent to France through a student exchange program. But after the Nazis invaded France in 1940, Bill and his sister and a group of other kids tried to escape by walking to Versailles. In this brutal march, his sister didn't make it. She died of starvation in Lyon. Bill, though, was one of the few who survived. Later, he found out that his mother and his sister had been murdered in Auschwitz. After the war, he made it to New York and spent some time in foster care before a family in the Bronx adopted him. During high school, he decided to pick a completely new name, and he flipped through a phone book and grabbed one at random. Does that sound familiar? It's as if he and the dead were meant for one another. In 1951, he was drafted into the U.S. Army and served in the Korean War, where he was awarded a Bronze Star of Valor and a Purple Heart for his service. But he had bigger dreams. He wanted to act. So he packed up and he moved to California and then took a job as a statistician for the Southern Pacific Company just to get by while taking acting classes at night. Every now and then he landed a small gig at a theater, and he was just chasing that Hollywood dream. In San Francisco, Bill became friends with Charles Sullivan, a businessman that had held the master lease on the Fillmore Auditorium. After Sullivan was murdered in August of '66, Graham got 41 prominent citizens to write letters to the auditorium's owner, which resulted in him getting a 3-year lease at $500 a month. He was the first promoter to book the Grateful Dead at the Fillmore on January 8, 1966, and he went on to book them and Jefferson Airplane and so many other bands at that venue. Eventually, he owned both the Fillmore and Winterland Arena, two of the Dead's most played venues, and he became a driving force behind their growth. He was a recognizable face at their shows, as well as a recognizable voice from the recordings like that one. A few fascinating facts about Uncle Bobo. In 1973, he produced Summer Jam in Watkins Glen, the biggest outdoor concert ever. It was headlined by the band, the Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers. There were 150,000 tickets sold and more than 600,000 people showed up. In 1976, he put together The Last Waltz with the band at Winterland Arena. To this day, it's considered one of the most monumental concerts in the history of live music. And in 1985, he produced American Live Aid concert at JFK Stadium in Philly, and it raised more than $45 million to fight hunger in Africa. Now, here's a wild butterfly effect that brings Bill to the Jewish community, to Detroit, and to Israel today. In 1974, the Lubavitcher Rebbe started a campaign to put menorahs up in public spaces. The idea of spreading the message of light, of love, and of Jewish pride. Rabbi Chaim Drizin, the Chabad representative to San Francisco at the time, along with Rabbi Yosef Langer and Zev Putterman, who was the former program director of KQED Public Radio, knew exactly who to talk to. They approached Bill and asked for his help in staging the event. Bill wasn't a religious man, but his production company was skilled in what they called adventures in human assembly. Given Bill's Jewish heritage and his passion for a worthy cause, he agreed. Billy Graham hosted the first public menorah lighting outside of Israel, and that was in 1975. The menorah was 22 feet tall. It went up in Union Square, where the first lighting drew 1,000 people. That menorah is now known as the Mama Menorah because it was the first of what is about 15,000 annual public menorahs lit now every year. In 2010, I was part of the team that put Menorah and the D together. Not until writing the script did I get the ego stroke that I realized that Chabad in Detroit approached me for the same reason that Rabbi Langer and Drizin approached Bill. Menorah and the D is one of the largest menorah lightings in the world annually, with 3,500 to 5,000 or so annual attendees. And during COVID, we had the largest menorah streaming event in the world with 38,000 live viewers of that event. And by the way, not that it's a contest, but our menorah is 26 feet tall. Let's take it down for a second, guys. I want to get real serious for a moment. In the last 2 years, Menorah and the D has brought 3 hostage families to Detroit during the Menorah and the D event. Ella Ben-Ami, whose father Ohad was a hostage, Yair Moses, whose father Gadi was a hostage, and Liat Korin, whose cousin Omer Shem Tov was a hostage. During the Grudge event, we shared a video of Gadi talking about the kibbutz Nir Oz and his father Gadi and the hostages. And I actually posted that clip earlier this week, and you can find it on my Instagram and my Facebook page. I have extreme gratitude in telling you that all 3 of those hostages are home and safe today with their families. And hopefully, the 59 remaining hostages will come home soon. Let's do that again. Let's bring it back to the music for a second. Billy said in an interview that he deeply loved Sugar Magnolia, and that every time he was in attendance, bring it back up. Sorry. Whenever he was in attendance, the band would play it for him, but he said that his actual true love was Terrapin Station. Now, let me go on a little tangent, and again, we're gonna talk about my dad for a moment, and some of you here knew him. So my dad used to talk about the story of Jacob and Esau, and he would quote in Genesis 25:27, where it describes the 2 brothers, and it says, "The 2 youths grew up, and Esau was a man who understood hunting. He was a man of the field, whereas Jacob was an innocent man dwelling in tents." And he used to give this Dvar Torah where he would say that the lesson to learn from these 2 brothers is that we all have a job to do. Some of us are here to go out and work in the field and hunt and conquer the darkness, while others are supposed to sit in the library, study, sing, spread light, and things like that. I was shook when the first time I heard Terrapin, and when Jerry sings, "His job is to shed light and not to master," I called my dad and I shared that with him, but he was not impressed. That's okay, I got the connection, and every time I hear this song, I think of my dad, and I'm really grateful that we're gonna do this tonight. So guys, with that, here's Terrapin Station.
Flow, tug around, suggesting rhythm that will not forsake me till my tale is told. While the fire lights aglow, strange shadows from the flames will grow to things we've never seen, seem familiar. Of a sailor farming which Bob's found there on a swan down in Carlisle. Loved a lady many years ago. Here beside him stands a man, a soldier from the looks of him, who came through many fights, lost in love. Storyteller speaks, the dawn within the fire creaks, suddenly flies open, and a girl is standing there. Eyes alight with glowing hair, all the fancy paints as fair. She takes her fan and throws it in the light stand. Which of you, to gain me tell, will risk uncertain pains ahead? I will not forgive you if you will not take the chance. tried. Soldier being much too wise. Strategy was straight, not disaster. Stands today, you decide if he was right. Storytelling makes no choice. Soon you will not hear his voice. Job is to save life, not to master. Often gone and hopes he will come back. He cannot be but a soul. Song was sets in color all the way to spare. More than this I will not ask. Laced with mysteries dark and vast. Statements just seem vain at last. Some rise, some fall, some climb. Get to therapy.